Hey guys, Jeffrey from Headstrong Training Systems here. So today we're going to be taking a look at the low bar squat, and in particular I'm going to be visiting one of the concepts of knee break versus hip break in the low bar squat, and kind of what happens when we go too far in the direction of letting too much knee travel, and so what should we do to fix that and the cues that we should action. So the problem that I want to talk about today is basically so I'm just going to set up for you guys real quick. But basically, say this is my starting position, I'm about to squat, and then I won't talk about it, but I'll just perform it, and then we'll go into it. So I don't know if you guys can see, but basically in that movement, what I was trying to show was that in that squat, there was a lot of knee travel. There wasn't enough hip displacement backwards. And you can see, I tried to force it on the second rep, but basically because there was so much knee travel and I had a very upright torso, that at the bottom, as I got to end range, my heels came off the floor a little bit. So that's the problem that I want to address. Basically, the problem with this squat is you're essentially squatting a high bar movement pattern in a low bar position because you've got a lot of knee travel going, you're trying to stay very upright and you're not using any hip torque. So basically what hip torque is use of that posterior chain, so like your lower back, your glutes, you're using that body part to fire up out of the movement. But we're unable to do that because in order to use a movement to use a part of the body, there has to be a moment arm created first. And what I mean by that is basically, if, say, I want to recruit my quads more, then obviously I want more knee travel forward because as my knee goes forward, my quad gets lengthened more, and then there is a greater moment arm there for me to use my quadriceps and vice versa. If I want to recruit my posterior chain and use my glutes in the low bar squat, then there needs to be an element of this hip displacement, the hips going back in order to create the moment arm for me to then use my pelvis and my hips. So the cue that I want to give to you guys in order to address that is basically, well, the fix is you want to use more hip displacement. You want more of the hips going back. But I know that can, if I just throw that cue at you, it can get very overloaded, like there's a lot of cues going on, and then it becomes very difficult to kind of isolate what you should be focusing on during that squat movement. So this is the cue that I want you to focus on. So say it's your starting position, what I want you to think about is, as you lower down into the movement and you let the knees travel forward, at the same time, I want you to let your torso travel with the knees. So what I mean by that is the concept of natural torso lean. Basically, we don't want the torso to be forced upright, because if I force upright and I let my knees travel and I try to force upright in a low bar squat, that's going to cause extension in my back. So the concept is we want to maintain neutrality of our torso. We want to maintain a flat back at all times. So in order for that to occur, we can't resist the natural torso lean that wants to occur. Because if we resist it and we try to that's going to force us to be upright. So as you're loading into the midfoot and letting the knees travel, I want you to think to load the torso forward, so let the torso travel with the knees. Because what that does is basically, so we all know that when I push my hips back, the torso is going to come down. And that's a result of my hip hinge is going to cause my torso to come down because of the counter reaction force. Now the vice versa is also true if we look at it from the other aspect. If I let my torso drop forward, what's going to happen is my hips is going to go back. So see how the two are balanced like that. That's how that relationship and how that system works. So the cue, to summarize, to recap, what I want you guys to be focusing on is you've unracked, you've got into your starting position, you've braced, and now what you want to do is, as you load into the midfoot, you want to break at the knees and hips simultaneously. So knees, that's knee break, and that's hip break. You want to break at the two areas simultaneously, so breaking together. You don't want your knees to be breaking first and your knees to lead the way. You want to break at the two areas simultaneously. So you see how that's a bit of a jolty movement. That's completely fine. Just use that jolt if you need to practice that simultaneous break. So break, knees and hips simultaneously. And from here, as you load down into the midfoot and let the knees travel, you're gonna want to naturally let the torso lean as well. And that is going to ensure that you stay over midfoot, and that will give you a more stable platform to generate hip torque off. So that's all from me today, guys. Hopefully that was helpful for you, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.